They laughed when I walked into the room, like I was some kind of joke. My cousin leaned toward her sister and whispered, "Here comes the family black sheep." My aunt took one look at me and smirked, still wearing secondhand clothes. "Angela?" But not a single one of them knew. My signature alone was now worth more than everything in this mansion. If that line hit you, share this story with someone who needs it. Hit subscribe, because what happens next will leave you speechless. It had been 5 years since I last saw them. 5 years of silence, rejection, and being excluded from every birthday, wedding, and family holiday. I was the outcast, the disappointment. So when I suddenly got invited to this family meeting, I already knew something was wrong. This wasn't about love. This was about money. "Angela," my older brother Mark said, fake smile glued to his face. "We're discussing selling the family property. Thought you'd want to be involved, even if it's not really your area." I nodded quietly. They still thought I was the same girl who dropped out of college after Mom died. The girl who worked night shifts at diners and wasted time on a laptop in some cheap apartment. But what they didn't know was that I'd been silently building something. A business. A breakthrough. A storm. We all sat around that long, polished table like actors pretending to be a family. They passed a contract to me with practiced smiles. "We're each getting an equal share," my cousin said. "It's simple. We just need your signature." I glanced at the paper. Then again. It seemed fine, but something was off. "This clause here," I pointed. "Why are you transferring mineral rights with the land?" My uncle snorted. "It's legal jargon, Angela. Just sign it. This is way over your head." My dad didn't even look up. "We all have real jobs. We understand these things." My hand didn't move. I looked at them. Really looked. So confident. So smug. So blind. "You don't get it," I said softly. 2 years ago, I bought the land next to this one. Quietly. No one noticed. Then I paid for a full underground survey. They blinked, confused. I let the silence hang before I said, "There's lithium under both properties. You're sitting on a gold mine." The room went quiet. Faces turned pale. Jaws dropped. I reached into my bag, pulled out a folder, and laid it flat on the table. "This is the federal contract," I said. $60 million. They're waiting for my final signature, not yours." My cousin tried to speak, but no words came out. My father leaned forward, trembling. And I just smiled. They thought I was the black sheep. Turns out, I was the wolf in silence. My dad slammed his hand on the table so hard the wine glasses rattled. "This is ridiculous," he barked. "You? Signing a government deal? That's not even possible. You've never had a real job." I didn't flinch. "You mean a job you approved of?" The rest of the room sat frozen, as if the air itself had thickened. Mark grabbed the folder and skimmed through it, his eyes widening with every line. His voice cracked. "Angela, this signature block? This is your company?" I nodded. "It's called NovaTrace Systems. I built it from scratch. It's now one of the top cybersecurity and resource mapping firms in the country." My aunt tried to laugh, but it came out like a nervous cough. "Why wouldn't you tell us about this? We could have helped." I looked her dead in the eyes. "The last time I asked for help, you told me to get a realistic dream. Remember?" She looked away. I turned to the lawyer sitting at the end of the table. He'd been quiet this whole time, just observing. "You're representing them, right?" I asked. He nodded slowly. "I was, but I had no idea there was lithium involved." "Oh, there's a lot more you don't know," I said, pulling out another document. "That contract you wanted me to sign, the land you're trying to sell, it's under legal dispute. My name's on the original deed from Grandma. She transferred it to me before she died. She believed in me when none of you did." Gasps echoed around the table. My mother's face drained of color. That's a lie. She would never. She did. I cut her off. Because she saw what I was building. And she knew you'd all try to sell her legacy for a quick payday. Mark stood up. Angela, wait. We didn't know. If there's a way we can be part of it. I laughed, sharp and cold. You don't get to be part of it now. You mocked me, cut me off, treated me like garbage. Now you want a seat at the table I built? With what? Fake support and crocodile tears? They were stunned. No one spoke. I walked into this room as your black sheep, I said, rising from my chair. But let me make one thing clear. You don't own me, and you never will again. And just as I turned to leave, my mom muttered something that stopped me cold. If Grandma gave you the land, then why did the bank call us this morning saying it's being seized? My blood ran cold. Wait. What? My feet froze mid-step. The room went silent again, but this time the air wasn't filled with arrogance. It was tension, confusion, fear. What did you just say? I asked without turning around. My mom stood up slowly, wringing her hands. The bank called this morning. They said the land, your land, is flagged for seizure. Some kind of unpaid corporate debt. That's not possible, I said, spinning around. Novatrace is clean, fully funded. No liens, no defaults. Mark pulled out his phone. Hold on. What bank? Which branch called? Northwest Federal, my dad said. Guy named Peterson. My stomach dropped. Peterson wasn't just any banker. He was my ex, Ryan Peterson. The one who dumped me in front of his friends at a gala 3 years ago after calling me a broke nobody with pipe dreams. He worked at Northwest back then. I hadn't heard his name in years. But now it made perfect sense. He had access to my business accounts, at least back when we were together. And if he still had old access codes. I grabbed my phone and opened the Novatrace dashboard. Access denied. My hands began to tremble. I tried again, using my master credentials. Same result. No, I whispered. No. Mark was watching me closely. Angela, what's going on? I looked up, heart pounding. I think someone hacked into my system. And if I'm right, they've planted fake debts tied to the land titles, which means this whole deal, the contract, the $60 million, it could fall apart. Gasps spread around the room like wildfire. My uncle stepped back. Are you saying someone's sabotaging you? I nodded slowly. Not someone. Ryan. My ex. He's behind this. Why would he do that? My mom asked, shocked. I looked her in the eyes. Because he knew this deal would make me more powerful than he ever dreamed. And people like Ryan, they don't want to see someone like me win. The lawyer stood up, suddenly tense. Angela, if that land is flagged and your system's compromised, you've got 48 hours. After that, the government can pull the contract. I clenched my fists. My whole life I had stayed quiet, played the long game. Let them laugh. But now, I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting to protect everything I built. Then we fix this, I said. But I won't do it alone. Mark stepped forward. You want my help? No, I said, walking toward the door. I want access to the family trust accounts. He blinked. Why? Because if I'm going to stop Ryan, I said, turning back one last time, I need to move faster than he ever expected. And that means buying him out, before he even knows I'm coming. But just as I reached for the door, my phone rang. Unknown number. I picked up. Angela, the voice said, if you touch that contract, someone in your family dies tonight. My heart stopped. The voice on the phone was low, calm, and chilling. I stepped back into the room, my face pale. Everyone turned to me, sensing something was wrong. Angela? Mark asked. What is it? I put the phone on speaker. Say it again, I demanded. The voice repeated. If you sign that contract, someone in your family won't make it through the night. The line cut off. My mom gasped, grabbing her chest. My cousin dropped her wine glass. The room exploded with questions. Was that a threat? Is this a joke? Who the hell would... I raised my hand. Silence. Inside, my mind was racing. I knew Ryan was bitter, petty, but murder, that wasn't his style. Unless he wasn't working alone. Mark stepped toward me. Angela, this just got serious. We need to call the police. No, I said instantly. Not yet. We don't even know who we're dealing with. And if we involve the cops now, the feds might freeze the deal completely. Then what do we do? My aunt asked. I took a deep breath. We find out who made that call, and we find out why. Mark looked confused. Isn't it obvious? They don't want you signing the lithium deal. Exactly, I said. Which means someone in this room benefits if I walk away. Everyone stared at me. Angela, my father said cautiously. Are you suggesting one of us is involved in this? I looked around the table. I'm saying someone here knows more than they're admitting, and they've been playing both sides. The silence was louder than any scream. Just then, my phone buzzed again, a text, from an unknown number. Check the fireplace. I slowly turned toward the stone fireplace behind the table. A fresh fire was burning, but something caught my eye. A small metal box tucked behind the firewood. I walked over, heart pounding, and pulled it out. Inside was a flash drive, no label, just one word carved into the top. Confession. I turned to my family. Someone wants the truth out, and it starts with this. Mark ran to grab his laptop. We plugged in the drive. A video loaded. The screen flickered. Then a dimly lit room appeared. And on the screen was Ryan. But he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was my uncle. The land will be in her name, Ryan said. But once she signs, we fake the lien and seize it. You get the land, I get the tech rights. My uncle nodded on screen. She won't see it coming. She's desperate to prove herself. She'll walk right into it. The video ended. The room was dead silent. I turned to my uncle. His face was frozen, like someone had yanked the soul out of him. You sold me out? I said, my voice trembling with rage. But before he could speak, the front door slammed open, and two men in black suits stepped inside. Angela Carter? One of them asked. You need to come with us. Now. Why? I asked. The man pulled out a badge. Because someone just tried to assassinate a federal officer, and your name is all over the scene. They said my name like it was poison. I couldn't believe it. Framed for a crime I didn't commit, just as I was about to take everything back. The two agents weren't joking. They showed me photos. A crashed car, a burned-out warehouse, and a man barely alive. A federal officer investigating the lithium deal. The timestamp was right after our meeting. My uncle sneered. Looks like your little empire is crumbling. Angela. But I wasn't done yet. In the back of the car, I accessed my encrypted backup on my phone. With every second ticking, I sent a secure message to my real lawyer. Someone who never left my side. We have proof, I whispered. The video, the threats, the sabotage. And I'm being framed. Hours later, my lawyer stormed into the police station with the evidence. The whole setup unraveled like a house of cards. Turns out, my uncle and Ryan had been stealing from me for years, manipulating both sides to try and crush me. But they underestimated one thing. Me. The judge cleared my name, and the feds arrested my uncle and Ryan on multiple charges: fraud, conspiracy, and attempted obstruction of justice. Back at the family estate, I signed the contract, not just as the black sheep, but as the owner of a $60 million empire. As I looked around the room, the same people who once mocked me now avoided my gaze. Mark whispered, "You didn't just win. You destroyed them." I smiled, feeling a fire inside that no betrayal could ever extinguish. Because sometimes the darkest shadows bring out the brightest light, and this was only the beginning.